Hello, everyone, and welcome to another match preview show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. As they say, no rest for the wicked. After a professional win against Liverpool midweek, Liverpool turned their heads and focused on this upcoming Premier League fixture against Ipswich Town. As you might remember, they gave us a bit of a scare in the opening game of the season, but we still won 2-0. So let's hope it's a repeat and we get all 3 points this weekend. But before we begin, let's introduce our special guest on the show. I'm sure you've seen him on YouTube talking lyrical about Liverpool, as well as the truth when it needs to be said. A huge welcome to Fozi from LFC Red Forever channel. Fozi, welcome back to the channel. How have you been?
Oh, thank you for inviting me, first of all, Ozzie, man. I really appreciate that, brother. I'm good, man. Just recovering from the game. You know, a win is important in the Champions League, especially when we're keeping up that, unbeaten run and, the winning run going as well. So, yeah, everything is good, man. Let's talk football, of course.
Let's talk football indeed. So I ask this question to every guest that comes on the show just to see where their mind is at in regards to current affairs. So what have you made of the season so far? Obviously, we're top of the table in terms of the league and the Champions League. But what have you made in terms of how the team's performing, and also what have you made of Arne Slot as a coach so far?
Listen, the football is it's not the thing that catches the eye at the moment. Obviously, we're not blowing teams out of the water like Arne Slot said after the game on Tuesday. He did mention that, like, we're not playing the best football at the moment, but with time we'll get there eventually. And that's the most frightening thing in football. You know what I mean? When the team is not at their best, and then eventually, they buy into the ideas and the tactics of the obviously the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And when all that clicks, it's going to be frightening for the rest of the Premier League. And I've got no doubt about that, because I've realized during preseason, which I traveled with obviously the team to the USA. I watched only one game though in the stadium. I realized the first teamers weren't there. It was just the guys from the reserve team, and the kids. They were all like I think the first team joined up with the rest of the team in England when I think it was the last game of the preseason, which was Seville, and I think Seville. It was Seville, because I was at that game. I forgot the game, and that's the only time they prepared for the season. If you know what I mean, Ozzie. But as time goes on, you could slowly see he's implementing these ideas into the team, and what we're doing at the moment is a bit of like both with his tactics and a bit of obviously still the Jurgen Klopp way. So you could see a bit of Jurgen, and you could see a bit of Arne on there, and I'm enjoying. Listen, I haven't expected, like you asked about the question, I didn't expect the season to be as it is. If someone said to me, we're going to be top of the league, we're going to be, top of the Champions League, and more or less unbeaten in both, because we only lost one game in the season, which is Northern Forest, I would have said you're bullshitting if someone said that to me in the beginning of the season. And especially when I said in the beginning, we're going to be probably in the top 4 at best. I didn't think we're going to challenge for a title. But yeah, how I'm wrong about that. I should have realized, the players that we have, they're that good. And the manager, I didn't know much about him, but from what I've heard, obviously him what he did at Feyenoord, I should have trusted that more. And I like what I see, bro, because I know there's better to come. I mean, this is not our best. We're top of everything, and currently, as many people say, we're the best team in the world. You look at the game against Brentford the other day. What Thomas Frank said, he said we just faced the best team in the world. You know what I mean? He faced Arsenal, he faced Man City, and he experienced Liverpool, and he said that's, he didn't say that about those two. He said about Liverpool. So we ain't wrong in what we're doing at the moment, man. Yeah, everything is perfect for me at the moment, mate. I can't argue with anything that's happening. It's above my expectation. Let me just put it that way.
I think your assessment in terms of your sort of pre-season predictions for the team, I'll be honest with you, I had the same prediction. So I said as well that I think the team will be challenging for top four, only due to the fact that we had a new coach where I'll be honest, I wasn't completely familiar in terms of his, coaching credentials. I know he's done well at final, and obviously I was aware of his name, but I'll be lying to say that, I followed his career or anything to that
Mm,
nature. So it's still an unknown manager that enters a new league, a new surrounding, managing a team that the expectations are way too high. He said a
yeah.
comment last week where we beat a big team, and then he was like, "Oh, at Liverpool, I think that was the Real Madrid game. At Liverpool, it's just move on to the next one."
Yeah.
Whereas at Bayern, they've had a party for the whole week. So it's like different mentalities, different ways in terms of how clubs assess certain situations.
Yeah.
So for me, I always felt like top four or challenging for the top four would be a good opening season for the new coach.
Yeah.
But I have to co-sign what you said. It's surpassed all of my expectations in terms of where we are, and you'd have to be delusional to think that we were going to win the league at the end, start of the season, just because of the Jurgen Klopp factor. It was never going to be something where we expect the likes of Man City to drop the way they have,
Yeah.
and there's obviously different factors as well. But I have to give credit to Armstrong. I feel like he's a coach that is different to Jurgen Klopp. But you mentioned, we're still playing at Jurgen Klopp's way. We still have that DNA in us. It hasn't
Mhm.
disappeared. So we still have that element, especially in transitions when we're attacking forward. We still
Yeah.
have that within our game. So I find it quite refreshing in terms of how we're playing now. It might not be easy on the eye for fans that are so accustomed to watching Klopp ball, where it's 100 miles per hour, end-to-end stuff,
Yeah.
heavy metal football, as Jurgen Klopp used to describe it.
Mhm.
It's not quite so low. It's more calm. It's more composed. It's more measured. I don't mind that because we're keeping more clean sheets, and it's just when you're keeping clean sheets, it just feels like you're a team of dominance when you're doing that as well. So for me, I'm enjoying this sort of new phase at Liverpool. Definitely blew my mind in terms of like where we are right now because we've only lost a couple of games this season, and whenever we drop a point, whether it's a draw here and there, the fan base is just losing their marbles in terms of like,
Just don't understand it. I don't understand. Even me, actually, I get frustrated, and I think to myself,
yeah,
but we're not in that time. Like we're overachieving at the moment. I should be calmer than what we are. I mean, like when Arsenal drop points, we drop points, and then we start, getting angry. I think no, let's just calm down. I have that, like the older fans, like we remember
yeah,
how good it used to be. So what we do is I cry for one day, but the next day
yeah.
I just move on. I
Move on.
can't stay because some people just stay consistently, don't they, Ozzy? And like it just bores the shit out of you. But with me, it's just
Yeah,
one day. Next day we move on to the next game. That's it. In the day of the result or whatever happens, I just start moaning about it. Then I move on.
yeah.
That's what you got to do, bro. You can't keep going, man, because it
No,
actually goes down to the team eventually. Because unfortunately, we live in an era which is too much of social media. You know what I mean?
correct.
And players in the modern day, it's no more slap in the face. It's more of an arm around the shoulder. You know what I mean? You have to, they're so sensitive nowadays. So you got to be careful what you say. So
Yeah,
even Trent's contract, like, let it be. Just let it go, man. Just wait till the end of the
yeah,
season. If he's not going to stay or whatever it is. Just let us enjoy the ride at the moment because the most important thing is winning the league and winning the Champions League. That's all. That's all that count. At the end of the day, what are we here for? Players, contracts, and wages, or are we here to win trophies? You got to choose between them two, in my opinion.
let's touch on that because for me, obviously, as a content creator, I find it quite frustrating to talk about the contract because it's a never-ending saga, and it's one of those things where there has been no further update. You can believe whatever source you follow on social media. Let's be honest, no one really knows what's going on behind the scenes,
Yeah.
whether they've been offered contracts or they rejected contracts or they're not meeting in terms of length of contract. We don't know. We don't know the dynamics. So what do you make of all of this that's happening with the contractual situation? Because I feel you touched on it, and we do live in that era where if you hear one source or one journalist say something, if it's negative, the fan base just loses
Yeah.
absolute. their marbles, and it's just like they go on a emotional spree and just say whatever they like. Trent, for example, you mentioned him as an example. People going at his family and stuff like that. It
I
was
can't
just like
believe it, bro. I can't believe it.
absolutely unnecessary to do that kind of thing. And then with Salah would say comments here and there, but I don't think he's said anything to rattle the fan base or anything. I think he's just quite a transparent person. He just says it what comes to his mind. So, what have you made of the situation in terms of these three players signing on? Because right now it's a bit uncertain. What
Mhm.
do you think will be the outcome in the end?
Bro, sometimes in life you just got. I was angry. You know what I mean, I said I hope it doesn't go to January because January they could speak to player teams
Yeah,
and they could speak to agents. You know what I mean, and all that stuff. So that's what worried me. I said I hope because it will outside distractions will affect the team. If you know what I mean. Let's just
yeah,
it's life. That's how it is. That's why I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but it happened. But still, we got that focus in regards to the destination that we want to get to, which is winning the league. And I hope I could meet you guys all in Liverpool if we get the league. We could all
yeah,
celebrate together, by the way.
definitely.
American Pop, Nick, everybody, even Abdul, whoever is on the chat.
Mhm.
So um, it's here now, and the players are still playing for the football club. If you got to look at it, so sometimes what I look at is the behavior of the managers, so the coaches and all that stuff. You look at the behavior of Arne Slot. He's smiling all the time. He's calm off the pitch. He's calm on the pitch. He's playing those players, and they're even captaining the team as well. So
Yeah,
sometimes you got to look into that. Why is after Trent had that bad game against Man United and his family got bullied, he got bullied, his friends got bullied, his brothers got, whoever it is, they got bullied. Why is he still captaining the team against Accrington Stanley if he's going to leave the football club? Maybe did we ever think to ourselves, maybe the reason these contracts ain't signed is to motivate the players to play in the way they're playing right now, and maybe they're gonna sign a contract at the end of the season. Because don't forget, none of them said they're leaving the club. None of them said that.
yeah.
It's just all hearsay, and they're still in the team. If a player is not 100% committed, would you play him in the team, Ozzy?
No,
There you go.
answers right there. And that's what we have to look at as fans as well. Where, and I know some people have questioned Trent's not temperament, but there's been games where, for example, when the rumors circulated around Real Madrid placing a bid that got rejected by Liverpool,
Mm,
people thought his head had turned, and that's when obviously I think that was the United game where he didn't have a great game. But
yeah,
for me, in terms of what they're producing on the pitch, they're doing their job. They're being professional.
yeah.
Whatever happens for me, it happens. I can't really stress out about a situation that I have no knowledge of, and I think, look, let's be frank, no one has knowledge in terms of what's going on with the contractual situation. So we just have to wait and see. All I care about is the team's success right now. I would rather it wait until the end of the season. I don't want it to be where,
Like
if
last
it's good
season,
news or
like last
bad
season,
news,
like last season with Jurgen, like that when he was going throughout the season. That's the example I
exactly.
want to give you. But carry on what you're saying. Sorry.
No, no, you're spot on because I was gonna go into that as an example because with Jurgen, I feel like that announcement it was a lose-lose situation. Whether he did it in November when he first sold FSG, or whether he did it in January, which he ended up doing,
Yeah.
or towards the end, like there wasn't a perfect time. The perfect time would have been when the season concluded, then
Yes.
you let the public know. But I
Exactly.
think the way the world works now, it may have leaked out. So I think
Yeah.
to protect the fan base and also protect the owners in terms of finding his successor, he had to do a bit earlier. But I do feel like it did have an impact in our season. So for me, in terms of the contract situation,
Hmm.
I would rather, focus on the players in terms of what we have right now, focus on the games that we're coming up. And look, whatever happens, happens. If these players depart, don't get me wrong. I feel like it would be a huge step back for these players to depart because there is no like for like replacements in world football, in my opinion, for these three players. But at the same time, Jurgen Klopp, there wasn't a like for like replacement as a
No.
manager. So you do have to find alternatives or a different solution to the team. So I'm not too stressed about that situation. We've replaced top players in the past. You've been following Liverpool longer than I have. So there's been players where we thought they were irreplaceable, like the
Mhm.
Suarez, the Torres, these type of strikers. But we moved on and replaced them, and we've been successful ever since. So as fans, I feel like we've got to be a bit more just patient with these sort of things. And also, when you hear rumors here and there, whether it's transfer related or it's contract talks related, take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
There is no sort of truth when it comes to these journalists, and because they could be, as some fans will say, they might be under FSG payroll or it's a PR propaganda. However you want to sugarcoat it, we don't really know the ins and outs as public fans. So we'll just see how it goes in terms of what happens. I'm just going to go through some of the comments. I can see them flooding in, so we'll get them involved. Football with Ends says, big up, bro. Have a great stream. Big up, Ends, as always. Appreciate your support. Abdul Rahim, he said, hi, Ozzie, Fozi, guest in chat. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, Abdul. He says, how you all doing? All good, Abdul. I hope you're doing well. He says, like, comment, share, subscribe. We need to win EPO and UCO. Welcome. Many thanks. Thank you, Abdul, of course, all day. We have to do that. And then Abdul says, incoming fixtures, we've got Ipswich, PSV, Bournemouth, Spurs, Plymouth, Everton. For
Perfect.
me, all winnable games. But
100%.
yes, as the saying goes, we'll take one game at a time. And that's why we're facing Ipswich this weekend. Abdul says, great to see Fozi at Anfield UCL match. Watching Lille, we won 2-1. How was your experience there at the game in the European night?
Oh man, it was beautiful, guys. I swear to you. Hospitality, I recommend it. You know what I mean? It was a gift, so I can't really tell you how much it is. So
Yeah.
we went to a place around the corner from Liverpool where we met the legend Steve Staunton. He was talking about Liverpool Football Club. I didn't even know he was a supporter before he joined Liverpool, like I told Ozzie earlier. He told us about the stories about him, the way he joined Liverpool, and it was a beautiful. Seriously, he won a league, actually. People, if you don't know that, he won a few cups at Liverpool.
Yeah.
I used to idolize these players when I was a kid. Obviously, John Barnes was my favorite player, but I knew about Steve Staunton because he used to play for Republic of Ireland, Jack Charlton. So they used to show that on ITV back in the day, the Ireland games, Republic of Ireland games, and I used to watch him. Phil Babb, players like that, Jason McAteer. These guys, like, listen, this guy, he's my favorite left back at the time, because when I was growing up, it was Gary Ablett, rest in peace. Yeah. He was the left back. We had Steve Knuckle play as a left back sometimes. Obviously, he used to play the right back. He scored a hat trick against Newcastle, as I remember. And David Burrows and Steve Staunton was the swapping left backs back in the day, in the late 90s, late 80s to the 90s. And he had a rocket left foot, guys, absolute rocket. He used to just like shoot from long range and just score goals from there. It was weird, it was a surreal moment when you're meeting your heroes. You don't know what to say. Like I was shaking. I thought, Steve, like, I know you. I watched you. He said, you're too young. No, I'm old enough. Trust me, mate. I'm old enough. I'm from your time. You couldn't believe when I said that to him. And he said, yeah. I'm glad you could remember me, because not many Liverpool fans do, because I didn't stay long. I went to Aston Villa and came back afterwards. Yeah. I remember all of it. I said, like, I idolize you guys. And yeah, he took a picture with me. Didn't ask for signatures, because when you're a kid, you ask for signatures and all that stuff, innit? Yeah, you can see him there. He's let me show you, actually. I think I'll go this way. You can see him there. Right there. Right there. Yeah. That's me and him. Right there. Yeah. It's I love meeting heroes. I just love meeting legends. I mean, even the ones I didn't watch before, but I know of them, like Graham Souness. I met. You can see him there. It's something special, guys, because at the end of the day, these are the people that put us on the map. I mean, you wouldn't shout about 6, you wouldn't shout about 18 if it wasn't for these people. I mean, they were consistently champions. There wasn't like on and off, like recent years. So yeah, it was. Listen, hospitality is the one, especially when you meet players. Sometimes you meet 2, but I met 1 this time. I recommend it to everybody, man. Just go for it, man.
That sounds like an eventful day. I'm gonna have to look into getting a hospitality ticket myself. No, it sounds good.
Yeah, and then you go to the game, innit? You go to the game afterwards and watch the game.
Yeah, can't beat that. Can't beat that at all. Adam says we need to learn, study, and improve from loss against Nottingham Forest and Spurs. Also draw against Arsenal, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, United, and Newcastle. I'm sure Arne Slot is studying all of those games that you mentioned, especially the first loss against Nottingham Forest. He never stops talking about it. So yeah, I'm sure he is studying about that. American Scouser says, well, guys, big up yourself, American Scouser. Thank you for tuning in. Abdul Rahim says our 3 key players are Van Dijk, Granberg, and Salah. Yeah, that is a fair shout as well. American Scouser says people can't handle comfort and success. Most of social media is focused on complaining. It's true. People just live on drama, and that's why you get Arsenal fans that are so popular on social media space, because there's always some sort of drama going on within their club, whether it's something about the owners or whether it's on the pitch or Arteta, there's always something that's more. And
Oh,
unfortunately,
today it's a different thing. Oh, it's a different thing
yeah,
today. You know that guy they want from Leipzig. Is it-
Sesko.
yeah, I heard that Robbie from AFTV saying, what did he say? He said, yeah, we're not gonna get Sesko. Is it Sesko? I don't know his name, but I don't know any
Yeah,
football. You know what I mean? Outside Liverpool, we're not gonna get him because Jurgen is gonna stop him going to Arsenal.
yeah. He's the sporting director for Red Bull, isn't he? Yeah,
He's gonna block the move. He's saying. I said, what? Really? Just pay the money and you get him, man.
yeah.
Jurgen hasn't got the power, man. Oh,
Ridiculous.
man.
It has to fit the narrative. So yeah, that's how it is on social media, unfortunately. Um, Nick says, big up panel, Ozzy and Fozi. Big up yourself, Nick, as always. Um, Abdul says, I need to see more on Alison Keller. That's got the whole team, man. You see more on these players. I think in terms of the players in recent weeks, it's been up and down, but I think that's due to the magnitude of games we're playing. We're playing every 2, 3 days. So, it has a toll on their body. So that's why I feel like one thing that I would have to probably critique Arsenal a little bit, I don't feel like he utilizes his squad enough. But having said that, in the last 2, 3 games, you're seeing the likes of Endo and Elliot on the pitch. So that's very important for me.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell everybody why this is happening. I don't think Arne Slot is as happy with the squad as you guys think he is. Because if he was happy with the squad that he has, he would have used everybody. So
Right.
if you look at the way he limits his players, Gravenberch plays every game, Van Dijk plays every game, Salah plays every game, McAllister plays every game, Trent plays every game, Robertson. So he, like what we said in with Jurgen. Jurgen always used to give you clues in what he picks or
Yeah.
what he keeps. You know what I mean? And this is what Arnie is showing you. He knows in his mind he's got players outside that 11, probably in the 11 as well. We don't know. I mean, that he don't really want as players. So when he's playing continuously with Gravenberch and all these guys, that means the squad he has, he's not happy with. That's what I realized. I don't know if you worked it out that way, Ozzy, but that's what I realized. So I keep thinking to myself, why is Gravenberch playing again, man? I mean, why is Van Dijk still playing when we don't need this to win this game? Why can't you utilize the squad? Yeah, that's how I see it, bro. I don't know if
No,
you see it that way.
no, I agree with you. It's a fair assessment. It's quite evident that he doesn't fully trust the whole squad, so that's why he has to play the names that you mentioned on more of a regular basis. If he had, I don't want to shout his name, but if he had bought a Zubimendi in the summer, then there would have been more rotation within the midfield because you've got different profile of players that could, play well together with Gravenberch, McAllister, Zubimendi. It would have been a great balance in the team. But because we never signed that midfielder, he's having to play Gravenberch a lot more. And maybe it wasn't in the plan. Maybe he saw Gravenberch a bit more further up, not playing as
Mm.
a number 6, but due to not being able to sign a number 6 in the summer, he had to find of an alternative solution, and that was Gravenberch. So I do agree. I feel like he has. Uh, because some people say he has favorites. I don't think it's favorites. I think it's more so he has trust in these players because he knows what they bring to the table. The other squad players, he'll use them when required. Like Endo will come on last 5, 10 minutes when you need a bit more of a still in midfield, or how really if you need energy in that sort of front line, whether it's for being creative or just adding the press in terms of how we're playing. It depends on the opposition. It depends on how we're playing towards the latter stages. So I definitely agree with you, Fozzie. I feel like it's just hopefully in the summer he's able to recruit
Mm.
and he's able to add the players that sort of fit within his DNA or within his mode of how he wants the football to be played. So, whether that happens, it remains to be seen. I'm sure we'll touch on as well later in the show. Uh, Daz says, "Big up Ozzy Fozzy, big up Daz as always." Uh, Abdul saying, "I need Trent Van Dijk Salah to sign a contract." They will, God willing, they will soon. But we just have to be patient and we'll just focus on the football. Uh, so let's go on to the next topic. So transfer rumors. So not much happening in terms of the Liverpool rumor mill. We've heard potential signings that could be earmarked for someone like your Kirkes, although I don't know if there's real genuine interest in that sort of player.
Yeah.
We've only got about just over a week left. So do you think the club will strengthen this window,
No.
or do you think? I don't think Arsenal is content, but do you think it will just remain as it is until the summer?
Let me just put it this way, Ozzy. If they wanted to sign players, they would have done it in the 1st of January, 2nd of January, 3rd of January, 4th of January. They would have signed players back then, but they haven't. I'll tell you why. Because you had, sorry about that, bro. So because you had all the summer, before the summer, all the way to January to sign players, and you haven't signed anybody. I mean, so why all of a sudden at the end of January you're gonna sign someone when you should have, when you needed them the most at the beginning of January? I mean, that could help the squad through difficult stages, which is January. December, everybody thought we was gonna drop off because we had games every 3 days. We didn't. December was one of our best months. You know what I mean? So, and then you go to January, it's a difficult month. You know what I mean? So, if we was gonna sign anyone, guys, we would have signed them this few weeks ago. I mean, at the beginning, because they would have prepared for it. They had time to think, to go and scout, go and get players ready, and all that stuff in between, the transfer window, and they didn't. So now we're coming to the end of the month, and people think like there's still signings coming in. I'll tell you now, having watched FSG since they've been here, nothing's coming in. I'm telling you, because they would have been ready. Everybody's talking about Kirk Hayes, the one from Bournemouth. I like him. I really like him. I hope he's our next left back, regular left back, because um, this Robinson guy at Fulham, it's not for me. You know what I mean? He can run like Roadrunner, but he can't defend. You know what I mean? So if you haven't got both of them, then you're gonna face a problem. But if you watch this kid, Kirk Hayes, watch him in the Newcastle game. Let me just put it that way. That was the perfect game to watch what he's all about. You know what I mean? Defensively, offensively, and everything in between as well. He scored a goal, defended well, Bournemouth won. So if you want to watch a game, go and watch that Bournemouth versus Newcastle game. As I said, like there ain't gonna be any signings. Don't waste your energy, man, because normally I have a beard with the grey hairs. It's not here anymore because of this football club. So I've stressed that enough in my life, man.
No, that's a fair assessment. No, I agree. And I've been saying it for a while as well because I don't feel like we are going to make that sort of signing. And people use that buzzword opportunistic, where if something comes up in the market, we might look into it. But I just feel like FSG are thinking a bit ahead. They're thinking about summer recruits rather than anyone signing right now. Because, like you said, we all know we need a midfielder. We all know there's certain areas in the pitch that needs to be addressed. But it doesn't happen in January. It's very unlikely it happens in January unless it's an emergency or
Mhm.
opportunistic signing where someone becomes available all of a sudden and you're like, maybe, we can bring our summer plans a few months ahead and try and sign them in January. But on a general basis, we don't really sign players in January. So I totally agree. I don't expect to see anyone in the January window. Looking forward in terms of the summer, what areas do you think need to be addressed in the team? And if you were a sporting director, so forget Richard Hughes for 1 second, Fozi is the sporting director now. Who would you sign for the club?
Listen, I've said it. I don't know, 3 seasons ago, maybe when Fabinho was still here. I'm more of a way of thinking of old school. I mean,
Yeah,
not current school. I'm too different. I was born in different times, you know what I mean? So I know how things work if you want to maintain success, which is while the best players are still here, you sign on top of that. That means you get the players that's going to replace them to work under them. When you
yeah,
got them working under them, they will under their tutelage, they will improve. Like Konate is doing at the moment with Van Dijk. He's already talking about bettering Van Dijk. So this is what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? So this is how I see it. Buy them young, get them into the first team, let them learn of the players that we have, and then eventually when the older players like 29, like we used to back in the day, 29, 30, they got resale value, you get rid of them, and then the youngsters come through, and then you. So you don't be if you think about it this way, Ozzy, you don't really need to spend a lot of money on that, do you? That can make you save money if you think about that, and then
yeah,
you could buy the odd experienced player here and there with that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's how you maintain success if you want to continue success. But we're not doing it that way. But next season, but this is how I see it. This is how I want it to be in the
yeah,
future. But if you're asking me in the summer, what I want is a DM. I've been asking for DM since Fabinho was here. You know what I mean? At the end of his career at Liverpool, we need a
yeah,
DM that can help out the likes of Gravenberch. We didn't expect this from Gravenberch. Sometimes, things like this happen for a reason. You know what I mean? Maybe we didn't. Maybe Arne Slot didn't want Gravenberch, and he wanted Zubimendi to come in, and we wouldn't see this Gravenberch we've seen. Maybe this happened for a reason. I mean, think about it that way. Maybe the next DM will be better than Zubimendi that we're going to get that can help
Yeah,
Gravenberch. Gravenberch not supposed to be in the team in the first place. I mean, so things happen for a reason. So I think the reason Gravenberch is doing well because it's meant to be. That's what it is.
yeah,
So and Zubimendi not being here because it's meant to be. You know what I mean? So I still think someone next to him is needed that's going to control the game better, that's going to protect that defense and keep us clean sheets on a consistent basis. We need another centre back that hasn't. Well, we haven't replaced Matip yet. Yes, we've got Kwanzaa, we've got Gomez who's injury prone, and we've got obviously Van Dijk and Konate who's injury prone as well. But the next step in the centre back, it has to be a replacement for Van Dijk. You ask why am I saying that? Because Van Dijk is at the latter stage of his career. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He's like 30 something. So at some stage, he's only one injury away from a disaster. Like look what happened to Matip. Same age, he
yeah.
had the ACL, retired. I mean, that can happen because recovery time for older players it's more or less over. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
that's the next step. That's what we need. Someone that's similar to Van Dijk that's going to replace him, a DM, and a left back, of course. Striker is needed. Don't get me wrong. We do need a striker, but it depends on the football club. Do they need to replace Nunes or are they going to keep him? If he goes, we're going to get a striker in. If he stays, they're not going to get anyone in because we've got enough players there as it is.
no, I agree. I think in terms of summer signings, yeah, left back definitely needs to be addressed. I always find it tricky in terms of who would it be that departs because someone has to make way.
Yeah.
For me, I've come to realize that it has to be Robertson, and I know some fans will be like, up like it'll be a bit of a split because some people say, oh, he's a leader, he's
No.
got experience, but for me, that's not always what you need in certain positions.
Yeah.
What I've seen this season, I feel like his lack of defensive awareness is a huge concern because he's getting beaten very easily. He's not reacting to certain tackles, and for me, that's a concern. So, you know, like you mentioned, back in the day, a player like that would have departed probably a year or two before because the
Long
value
time.
would still have been there
Yeah.
into selling him on. But unfortunately, uh, FSG weren't around to
No.
analyze football back in those days because they're
That's
not
how I
football
do
fans.
it. I said that. I'm not saying like people should do it like
No,
that, but that's how I
but
do it.
what you're saying is not just your opinion. It's the proof is in the pudding as well. All the successful teams that you look at back in the day, like United, obviously I hate to mention them, but that's what they used to do all the time. They would always add a top quality player where you're thinking, oh, they don't actually need to strengthen in that
Mhm,
area. But you're thinking,
mhm,
oh, okay. Like when Veron came, for example,
mm.
when he came, they were like, they don't need a midfielder, but it just energized the team and they had to, be on top of the game in case that guy replaced him. So it's a mentality thing as well, not just buying players for the sake of buying players. So for me, left back needs to be addressed. Centre back, I would like to sign someone that not a carbon copy, but has similarities to Konate because I feel like when Konate is out of the team,
Mhm.
we lose that physical presence in our back line.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of fans are like, we need a left-footed centre back as a long-term successor
I
for
don't
Van
know where
Dijk.
that comes from. I don't know where that comes from. Let me say something about that. Sorry, Ozzy,
Yeah,
to interrupt.
no, no, no,
Um,
please.
look back in history, guys. How many left-footed centre backs last in the Premier in teams? They don't because
No,
they get attacked on that foot or regular, and then they get injured most of the time. They become injury prone. They disappear. Forget this notion about left-footed centre backs. Forget about that. Get a proper left back and get a centre back
yeah,
who's similar to the ones that we have, because
yeah,
that's the only way you can survive in the league. You can't
I
do
agree.
this choosing and because one person says that everybody else runs on to this left-footed centre back. It doesn't work. We've had this in the
No,
past. It didn't work.
no,
But you know what I mean? Like it's too much of this like left-sided foot centre back. When does it ever work? Can someone
yeah.
explain to me when did it ever work? That I'll go by that as well. I'll be with you on the train.
No, but it's facts because let's say we did buy a left-footed centre back and Van Dijk is still at the club. I wouldn't want to shift Van Dijk on the right side because that's not where he generally plays. He's accomplished on that left side of a centre back position. So I understand to the why fans said it, but I think it's more so analyzing other teams in the league, and they're like, "Oh, Arsenal have about 4 or 5 left-footed centre backs. Chelsea have 2 or 3. Like everyone's got one. Why don't we have one?" And at one point, I thought, "Do you know what? Maybe we do need one." But as the season has gone on, I've just come to the realization I don't think that's what we need. I
Nope.
don't mind if we sign a left back that has the capability of playing centre back if we need strength in depth. You know, if we because unfortunately we do have centre backs that are injury prone. So, like for example, the player that I would like at left back is Hato from Ajax. He's a player that's predominantly left back but can play centre back. So that would be the right profile. But he's generally a left back at his club. And for me, in terms of a centre signing, I would like someone like Diomande from Sporting. He's very similar to Konate, very strong, very physical, good on the ball, can play back three, back four,
Mhm.
can move into midfield if required. So he's got a lot of similarities to Konate. So that would be the profile rather than a left-footed centre back, a DM 100%. We need a DM that goes. We might say we've been trying to get a DM for like 2, 3 years now. Um, Zubimendi on paper would be the right choice, but I don't. We're not playing FIFA. It's not that kind of dynamics. You have to look at the human being. Does he want to leave his city? Does he want to move abroad with his family? It's a bigger scenario than just a player wanting to join a club. Of course, he'd want to join Liverpool. That's why he didn't say no straight away. If you believe whatever the rumors were in terms of his decision, did he agree? Did he not? The interest was there, and he definitely considered it. So when it comes to Liverpool, you can't just turn them down. You do have to have a discussion, see what the project is about. I just don't think he's ready to move on
He's not ready,
from
bro.
his city. If he does, he might stay in Spain, but I don't see him playing abroad. I know
Yeah.
Arsenal fans are getting a bit giddy, thinking they're going to sign him. I just don't see it happening in the summer. So, a DM would be a player in terms of who it would be. I do like the look of Varela from Porto. He's got a bit of I don't want to liken him to him, but a bit of Mascherano about him because he's a
Aggressive.
destroyer, but he's got a very good eye on the pass, very good. And also with a fellow Argentine, McAllister, they would have formed a partnership on the national team anyway. So a player like that, and for me up top, some fans might not like what I'm about to say, but we have to upgrade on the strikers that we have. Actually, let me ask you this question before I go on, because of Darwin Nunes' recent surge, where he's scored a couple of goals, and he's a guy right now. He's the man of the moment. Would you consider selling Nunes or Jota in the summer? And the reason I'm asking because a lot of fans are like, "I'm fed up with Jota. Like, he's always injured.
Yeah.
Maybe we should sell him rather than sell Nunes." So, what's your take on that? Who would you sell, and why would you keep that player?
With me, I think people are gonna be shocked, but I don't care. I really don't
No, you
care.
say how it is.
It's all about commitment for me. I mean, and I don't think Jota is serious at Liverpool because if he was serious, he would have still played even through injuries. If you know what I mean, brother. Rather than play
Yeah,
computer games. So let me put it this way, bro. Who would you? Let me give you a question.
yeah.
Would you rather kept Origi over Jota?
Because
If
Origi's
you knew this
available.
was coming with Jota, what's what you see now?
Well, Origi's available, so
No,
for
at
me,
the time before we got rid of him for Jota. That's what we did, didn't it? We got rid of him for Jota. If you
yeah.
knew this was coming from Jota, like the injuries and not available and all that stuff, would you like got him over Origi at the time?
I'll say one step ahead of you.
Mhm.
So when we sold Origi, or when Origi left,
Mm.
Nunes came in to be his replacement, right?
Mm, I thought. I
I
think
don't feel like we've upgraded on Origi.
No, no, he left when Jota came in. Because remember, he didn't play that Nike kit with the green when Van Dijk got injured.
Yeah.
Origi wasn't there anymore.
Wasn't it the summer where
No,
Nunes
no,
signed?
no, 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 no. The
You
champ,
sure?
the league we won. That was the last season for Origi.
I'm so sure that was the summer. But anyways, in terms of the squad, because we've never really played with a traditional number nine, so I
Mm.
feel like we haven't even upgraded on
Who gave,
Origi in that
let me just
moment.
put it this way for you: Who gave us
Yeah.
more, like in regards to you know availability and important goals,
Oh,
winning league titles?
Origi. Origi.
There you go,
Yeah.
bro. That's why I
Yeah.
said. What I said was in my stream. What I said was
Yeah.
Jota's supposed to be the different level to Origi's. It's supposed to be the next step for us to consistently, challenge and win titles and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Since he's been here, the only time we challenged properly was the quad season. So he hasn't really contributed much to the football club. Although he gets you the goals, takes us to victory, all these songs we're singing about him, he hasn't really done much compared to the Irigi's legacy where he left behind. So
No,
if you
that's
think
true.
about it this way, if Jota stays, as I said before the summer, sorry, in the summer, I said when people asked me about Jota, nothing's going to change. He's still going to be injured. He's been doing this since he's been here. And am I wrong? What I'm saying? He's still getting injured. The worst part of it is, guys, like with Jota is his injuries are impacts. It's nothing to do with operation or anything like that. So if a player is pulling out on things like that, that means even if it's minor injuries, he will still say he's injured and he won't play. So I rather, if out of the two, Nunes and him, I'll keep Nunes because Nunes is 25. He's still got years to go. Maybe we could get through to him one day. Because the problem with Nunes is I've watched it the other day when I was at the game. Nobody serviced that guy from what I saw in the game. He was pointing to places. Nobody was giving him the ball. And whenever he gets the ball, he passes to Salah. Maybe he's got to be more selfish. Maybe he'll get goals if he's more selfish. And I was shouting at him a few times. I said, bro, stop passing to Salah. Just shoot at the goal. You don't know. He might deflect and go in. Look what happened the other day against Brentford. You scored 2 goals. Just take a shot from the edge of the box or something. So sometimes, we've got to look at players. Maybe it's the presence around them that's making them underperform, if you know what I mean. Because this guy was a 30 goals a season guy at Benfica. Look at, let me give you another example. You look at Szoboszlai. Look how good Szoboszlai was before he came to Liverpool. Now he's doing the same thing as well as passing to Salah. So if they take more shots outside the box, take the set pieces like Szoboszlai does, maybe they'll be better than what you see right now. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that's not adding up when I'm watching Liverpool. And I was convinced yesterday. I was really heartbroken because I was criticizing Nunes a lot. And I saw him. I just thoroughly watched him yesterday. I mean, on Tuesday. He kept on pointing. Nobody was passing him. He kept on running behind. Nobody was passing. He ran in the box. Nobody was crossing. So if you look at a 90-minute game, if that's not happening, how are you going to get goals if there's no creativity? The only time there was creativity in the box was the Brentford game and he scored 2 goals. Don't forget that, guys. So it's lack of creativity, man. That's what it is. And sometimes the presence around you makes you hesitate on your decisions in front of goal as well. So if Salah says to him, mate, start shooting, maybe you start shooting and getting more goals. That means instead of like giving the ball a lot. Same with Szoboszlai as well. So yeah, just look into that things. That's what I say. But out of the two, sorry about if I'm going long over here.
No, please, it's fine.
I'd rather keep Nunes than Jota because Jota doesn't offer me anything. Like, I gave you examples. You look at the only season we challenged for anything was that quad season. And was he really available for that season? No, because it was Mane as a striker and it was Diaz on the left eventually. So he didn't really play that many games, apart from Arsenal away scoring a couple of goals when he came on as a sub, I think it was, or something. But yeah, it's just availability from a striker, man. He's never available. Origi, listen, he didn't play many games, but he's always coming off the bench scoring important goals for us. And I don't think Jota has ever contributed in anything that's successful at Liverpool Football Club. Even the League Cup final we won last season, was he even in the team? No. So it clearly shows. Dan's came on, and I think Gakpo was a striker for that game. There you go, people. He's never available. No matter what you do, he will never take you to victory of trophies. Let me just put it that way. I want trophies. He wants trophies. That's what it's all about. Sorry, bro. If I'm long.
No. Please, no need to apologize. Now, in terms of this, it's a very interesting point because I'm just looking at in terms of when both players joined. So Darwin Núñez joined Liverpool in 2022, and Origi departed in 2022 when he went to AC Milan. But I feel like for me, the question is interesting in terms of who would you rather have, Jota or Origi? Now, for me, Jota is the better player, but just because he's a better player, it doesn't answer the question because he's never available. And my whole point of view about our striking options this season is that we need to sell Darwin Núñez. And I've been vocal, people in the chat will tell you straight. I've been saying that we need to sell him. We need to upgrade on him. He's not good enough in terms of his finishing, all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, as much as I like Jota, he's not available. It's frustrating when you have a player who comes on for 2, 3 games, scores a great goal, and then he's out again for another 2 months. It's like you can't do that. Like you're teasing a fan base, and then you're getting injured, and then we'll never see you again. So for me, if I was sporting director, this might sound cutthroat. I'd sell both of them
Yeah,
because
yeah.
for me, one player who's injury prone, and then you've got another player who I just don't feel like is the right quality at Liverpool. And that's not me saying he's a bad player. I do think he's a good player,
Yeah.
but I think his skill set is better suited somewhere else, whether it's in La Liga or Serie A. I feel like he will flourish in those leagues a lot more, in my opinion. So yeah, that would be me if I was cutthroat. So in terms of my sort of summer signing that I would like to sign would be Isak, but I think like it's not a realistic signing. And I don't really know who's out there in terms of striker market because there's no one in world football or in Europe, I should say, that
Do you
that
know who I
moves
said,
me.
brother? Do you know who I said? And look, you
What did you
probably disagree, but you could be agreeing as well if you think
Yeah,
about it. I know you might hate it. A lot of people might hate it, but I done a transfer about him. I was thinking that I don't watch. I told you, Ozzy, I don't watch a lot of football outside England. So, but
yeah,
I know the players that played in England, and the one I said was Alvarez from Atletico Madrid. Swap him and Nunes. You know what I mean? Because Nunes will flourish in the Spanish league. I think he will because it's a slower league. It's he's got a lot of time on the ball, and he could, you know what I mean. He could do whatever he wants in that league because that's not the league that we used to watch before. It's a different league
yeah.
now. He could use his pace on those big pitches as well to get behind defenses and score goals. So I said the reason I say Alvarez because he suits Liverpool to the T. What do Liverpool miss? A number 9, he's a number 9. What do Liverpool miss? A number 10, he's a number 10. What do Liverpool miss? A guy who could play out wide as well as out front. He could do all that roles. I mean, and Atletico Madrid, you give them money, they'll take it anyway. But if you give them an extra player on top of that, they take both. So it's simple as that. End of the season, you've got your player, the player you wanted that could play everywhere. You know how clinical he is, Ozzy Alvarez.
Yeah,
And we've got no associations with Man City in that way anyway. We gave them Sterling, we gave them Steve
yeah,
McMahon in the past. Phil Neal was their caretaker manager once. I mean, so we've got no relationship
no.
like we don't, players or ex-players coming this way and that way. So Alvarez is the one, bro. I'm telling you, if you look at a striker that suits Liverpool to the T, Alvarez is your guy, bro.
And I'll be honest, that was a light bulb moment for me because I totally forgot about him. If I'm
A
being
lot of
brutally
people
honest,
talk like that.
Do you know what? He makes the perfect sense. And you know when we,
Any game you think about, bro. Any game you think
yeah,
about, he
yeah,
suits it.
he
That's what
makes
I'm trying to say.
perfect sense. He does. Because I'm looking at our squad and we're profiling Jota and Nunes, right? So me and you probably agree. We if
Mm.
in the ideal world we'll sell both of them, right?
Yeah, of
But
course, yeah.
if we sell these strikers, you're not selling them just for the sake of it. You need to upgrade on these
Yeah,
strikers. And for me, Alvarez would be an upgrade on Jota because they have similarities in terms of their game.
yeah.
But Alvarez is more clinical, in my opinion. Like I was aware of Alvarez before he came to Man City because he was
I know
tearing
you
up.
go far and wide. I know, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was tearing up in Argentina. So he was always a prolific player. But it's just that he was playing out wide. And let's be honest, he's had good games against us playing out
Mhm.
wide as well. So do you know what? That one would, and if that was to happen in real life, that would excite me. That would be a sign of blood. Do you know what? See what the club are doing here. That would move me.
Mm.
There is no other player, so that's a great shout. I don't even think of him to be fair. Yeah, I think he will fit all of our boxes. But the big question would be how much would he cost to attain? Because I believe they signed him for about 80 million. But obviously,
18
we were to
something.
get
Yeah. So if you
Nunes involved.
give them Nunes and plus 50, why not,
Plus
bro?
50.
They're the same age. Why not,
Yeah,
bro? And I guarantee you, Nunes will be a success over there as well.
he would be 100%,
I mean,
100%.
people don't look into that. That's what I looked at. He could play. It depends on the games, bro. Ozzy, like if you think
Mm,
about the games, sometimes we do need a number 10, sometimes we do need a number 9. So he could do both. I mean, maybe like it's a Champions League final. We need a number 10 that plays as a number 9, like drops off more like Firmino role. He could do that. And not only that, he could take 6 pieces. He could score free kicks, you know what I mean? And all that
mm,
stuff. So you've got the perfect player for a team that needs that player. It's just
yeah,
that player is missing. Because we're looking at these Isaacs and all these guys. They
they're
might
not
not be
listening.
suitable to Liverpool. We don't know. We don't need it
Yeah.
because Isak is a number 9. He's not a number 10. He can't play number 10.
Mm.
He might do. I don't know, but However, it's just the composure, the style of football, the finesse about him
He's a pure
draw me
finisher.
to him.
Yeah.
I don't think people look into that about it, but it is what it is.
Look, Fozi, if we end up signing him, I'm gonna say it's down to you because I haven't heard that name being dished around, and I'm sure one of my viewers are Richard Hughes right now, so he's probably taking notes and he's trying to get that deal done now. Because if we sign him, yeah,
Complete team, bro.
we're definitely doing the show, 100%. Because
100%. We'll be back.
we'll be
Like
back.
Arnold says. Arnold.
We'll be back. I was just gonna go through some comments and then
Oh,
we will go on to our traditional match preview of this game. So let's go indeed. So we'll do. Where should we start with? So Abdul just asked us a question. Me and Fozzie have just mentioned who we would like. American Scouts has said we dealt with Klopp departure instead, and those guys were not going to sign with not knowing the manager, etc. That is a fair point. In terms of the players not signing contracts at that time. But I feel like we've had enough time for something to happen. When Richard Hughes has come in through the door, I just don't feel like Richard Hughes is at the level that is required as a sporting director for Liverpool. I think he's just punching his weight right now. He shouldn't be at the club. He's only got the job because his best mate is his manager, if that makes sense. So he's only there on on that benefit. So
you know,
he's not.
do you ever think to yourself? Sorry to interrupt, bro.
No,
Do you ever think to yourself? Sometimes it's the situation, like the moment. Do you ever think that to
yeah.
yourself? Because when Marco Edwards came in, Liverpool weren't that team. We had
Uh,
Balotelli's, Lamberts, and we replaced it with Manes and Salah's. Because sometimes when you're at the top and you're coming to a top team, it's more difficult than the team that's coming trying to come back to the top. Do you get what I'm saying? So I look at Hughes' time and I look at Edwards' time because that's what people are comparing. It's two different times. Hughes is coming to a top team that's been challenging, even though people don't think we've been challenging. We have been challenging last season, the quad season. We only missed out on the Darwin Nunes season when he signed. But other than that, we've been consistently challenging in some sort of way or another. And everybody around the world knows who we are. So when you come into these situations, the prices inflate, don't they, for players? Because when
yeah,
we signed Mane, what was it, 35, 30, something
25
like
mil,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, so look at the difference. It's different timings. Sometimes it's not about the what do you call it? The person that arrives. It's the moments you're in. Because who knew about Marco Edwards when he came in? Nobody knew. I mean, even
True.
that people don't even know he was part of the analytic team when I think around 2010, something like that. He was part of that team that
Yeah,
brought in these other players with Damian Comoli and all these guys. So he
yeah,
was
he was.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
but
right.
people don't even know that he was at Liverpool for a long, long time. So he already had this time to prepare for that
Yeah,
role. But Richard Hughes, obviously, he knows Italian football. Apparently, from what I've heard, he can speak Italian and all that stuff.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just to me, it's just about the moments, guys. He's just come in the wrong time, and he's not the type of person that can attract players of Liverpool that they need right now. That's what I'm trying to say. Like we need top quality players compared to Marco Edwards' time. It's two
yeah.
different times, man. I feel sorry for him. I really feel sorry for him.
Abdul says, "How's Uncle Roz?" So I know you bumped into Uncle Roz
Yeah, he's
at the
wicked.
game as well, didn't you?
Yeah, he's wicked, man. It's finally meet him. I've known him for a year or maybe 2 years now. Yeah,
Yeah.
we finally met, man. It was great to see him, man. It was great to see him. Lovely guy, man. Absolutely lovely guy, man. Can't say anything bad about him, man.
Nah, big up Uncle Roz as always. Dara says, "Hi all." Big up Dara as always. Says, "Nice to see Ben Dot score another winner." Someone mentioned that to me. I think it was Abdul mentioned it to me. I haven't seen the goal yet, so I need to check it out. Apparently, he scored a great goal. Um, let's move on to Mihaly. A DM can help Dom too. To be fair, big up yourself, Mihaly. I feel like once we have that accomplished DM, then I feel like the likes of Gravenberg and Szoboszlai and other players in the squad will up the levels themselves. It's just that we need that foil for these players to really play their natural game. Right now, we're probably working harder
Yeah.
because we don't have a natural play in that role. So it's just one of those things where hopefully once we get that playing, you'll see a different level from all of our other midfielders. Um, and speaking of the man himself, and for Uncle Roz, big up my brothers, big up Uncle Roz. Hope you're well. Um, Abdul's got a list of players that he wants to be addressed in the summer. So he's gone for left back, right back, centre back, DM, right wing, and number 9. That's a big shopping list there. Um, Anton Cross says, big up Abdul, much love and respect. Um, Nick has already gone for his prediction, saying 3-0 against Ipswich, which is fair. We'll touch on that very shortly. Um, Anton Cross it had to as a G. Yeah, he's a player that impresses me. So hopefully we can sign him one day, maybe. Dara said the DM is not a priority. Okay, fair enough. For me, it is a priority, but fair enough. It hasn't been for years. We have Gomez. Like Gomez, you mean? We have Gomez, but Gomez, I wouldn't classify as a player that plays DM. He's more of a player that can play in different positions in the back line. So for me, in terms of Joe Gomez, I really like Joe Gomez. I rate him, but he's come at an age where maybe he wants to go on and play first team football. Maybe he doesn't want to be that utility guy anymore. So DM is not really his area. I do feel like we need to upgrade. He said, Where would it be if we had a top class DM right now? Oh, we'd still be top, but then we'd be winning games a bit more convincingly. We'll be able to rotate a lot more, uh, and that's the key. Because obviously, I don't want to say anything too outrageous, but with our current squad, we're doing really well. But if we were to suffer a few injuries here and there, obviously, touch wood that it doesn't happen. But if we did, it could hamper our progress until the end of the season. So when you have quality all over the pitch, all over the squad, you're
Yeah,
able to utilize certain players at the right time. And so, like Fozi said, it's all about timing in terms of off the field, but also on the field. You've
yeah,
got to make sure you utilize the players when it's needed. So if we had that top class DM, then it'd be a different outlook into how we're playing, how we set up in different competitions, because we are trying to go all out on all competitions. We might have to reduce the expectations for one or two because we're trying to go for the two big ones, if that makes sense. So only time will tell in terms of how we finish the season. So let's move on to the match preview now. So in terms of team form, opposition Ipswich Town currently in 18th place. In the last 5 games, they won once, which was against Chelsea, which was a 2-0 win. They drew once against Fulham, and they lost 3 times: 1-0 to Arsenal, 2-0 to Brighton, and they
yeah.
got thumped last weekend against Man City. So they're not in the best of forms, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a walk in the park for Liverpool.
Nope.
Teams, sorry, I was gonna say teams that are down in the dumps seem to turn up when it comes to the bright lights at Anfield. So hopefully this won't be one of those occasions. In terms of Liverpool, obviously I don't need to say it too loudly. We can just reflect anyway. In the last 5 games in the league, we've won 3, which was against Leicester, West Ham, and Brentford, and we drew two games as well, which was against United and Forest. Of course, Fozi was there in person, where we won 2-1 against Lille. So the team are in good spirit and should have that winning mentality and momentum going into his fixture. So before we do predict the lineups, let's move on to the team news and let's see who's available for both teams. Fozzy, if I've missed out anyone, please do let me know if maybe I've missed out any breaking news or anything like that. So for Liverpool, Jones is unexpected to be involved, unfortunately, as he picked up an injury against Lille midweek. And even though this player was substituted, Gravenberch should be available for selection.
Mhm.
Armstrong basically confirmed that he was rested more than anything else.
Yeah,
Jota, was his favorite player,
yeah,
and Joe Gomez are out for the foreseeable future. In terms of Ipswich Town, Calvin Phillips could make a return to the first team as he was ineligible to face Man City as that's his parent club. But they do have a few players out involving Zamodic, Chaplin, and Ogbene, who was actually an interesting player that came on in the first game. So what we'll do now is we'll quickly present the predicted lineup for Ipswich, and then we'll drove in and go into a deep dive when it comes to Liverpool. So let me present the graphic for us, and here we go. So Fozzy, I've gone for a 5-4-1 formation for Ipswich Town on the basis that whenever they face a very strong team in the Premier League, they
Mhm.
go 5 at the back. So are you expecting it to be the same, or do you think they might be a different setup? Maybe they're a bit more attack minded in this one.
No, I agree with you because the last result, they lost by 6 goals. So I'm assuming they're gonna come to Anfield or all defensive. So yeah, so Anfield, expect that, man. That's all I watch when I go to Anfield. Teams
Yeah.
deep line defending, we have to open them up. That's what we got to do.
No, it's a fair point. So in terms of team selection, Wharton is generally their number one choice. So I'll put him in there. Um, I've got Tuanzebe, the former United player, to play right back. I remember him playing against us uh, in the first game of the season and had a decent game to be fair. So I think they'll stick with him. A player that I just realized that signed for them this month was Ben Godfrey.
Hmm.
So they've got him on loan at from Atalanta. So
Is he from Atlanta? I thought it was Everton.
yeah, he's on loan from there, which I didn't even know he signed there to be honest with you. So yeah, he's making a return to the Premier League. So he faced Man City over the weekend. So I have a feeling he might be involved in this due to his experience of the Premier League and um, obviously being a former Evertonian player as well. So it might help in terms of having a player that played for the rivals team. So uh, got three, so it should be there. There we go. So yeah, Atalanta's just that logo there. And in terms of the two centre backs that generally play, it will be Wolfenden, who I remember from the opening game. And then we have Greaves, who actually I was quite impressed with, left-footed centre back.
Yeah,
Um, Good passing range, good on the ball, good header of the ball as well. So he was quite impressive. And another player that caught my eye as well was Davis, their left back.
very good man. He's very good
He,
man.
he's a talent player. So what would you make of this back line? Would you make any changes, or do you think it's pretty much what you expect to see at Anfield this weekend?
Man, you don't get Godfrey just to sit on the bench, do you? So majority of the defenders you put on there are the regular ones, you know what I mean? But what was the West Ham ex West Ham player?
Oh, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think he's gonna play in the wing of him back instead of that
Yeah.
the ex Man
Oh, you
United
think
player.
he'll play on the wing? What wing
No,
will he be left?
wing back because you're playing three at the back.
Uh,
Yeah, so he's the one who
should we
normally
take
plays there.
should we take him out? Should we put him in? Ben Johnson?
Yeah, I think Johnson will play on the right side. Yeah, I honestly
So
think that. Yeah.
Ben Johnson. There he is. So yeah. Interesting player actually because he can play left back as well. So yeah. So he'll definitely so Ozzie believes he'll play. Now in terms of the midfield four, on the right side, Amari Hutchinson would definitely
Yeah,
be the first
big
name on
man.
their team sheet, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very good.
Very
The
good
only
player, very
thing with that
talented.
kid is like he's good with the ball, but is
Yeah,
his like decision making he's having problems with at the moment. But with
yeah,
time he'll get better at that. He's gonna
yeah.
be
His
great.
final pass
Yeah,
definitely needs improving. Yeah, still young, so still raw in that sort of
yeah,
that department. So yeah, I agree. I think he's a player that needs to improve. I see Calvin Phillips starting in this one. Obviously didn't play last week, so he had a good old little rest. So expect him to
what a
play.
shame about that career, bro. What a shame, innit?
He's talented, very talented player. At Leeds United, even when before they got promoted, he was cooking in the championship. So he was a very, very good player. I think he got England call up when he was at the championship. So, it wasn't like he was just a player that came into Premier League and then he got called up. He was always in that England radar where they thought, you know what, he could actually have a big impression in this team. So it is such a shame. And I think he got very mistreated by Man City. It's not helpful when your manager's saying that you're overweight and stuff like that. No one wants to hear that, whether it's privately or in public. So, yeah,
It's sad.
it's sad. It's not
You know
how
what
you
it is?
treat
You know what it is
players.
with him? What I like about him, he's more of a continental player. Like he's more possession keeping, progressing the ball forward. That's
Yeah,
something the English game doesn't know a lot about. Then that's why they don't really, see him as talented as many of us do. If you know what I mean? Because when I
yeah,
watch him, I think he could make it at Liverpool. I think he could
yeah,
be in that midfield doing keeping possession and progressing the ball and then getting possession back. I mean, he could do that, and that's something some teams are not used to. That's why they can't see the talented side of him. It's
yeah,
just that he went to the wrong team, which is Man City, that already have that type of players. I
yeah,
mean, if he came to us or Man United or Arsenal, I think you would have seen a different player to what you see right now. It's just
yeah.
like you just said, he was nurtured in the wrong way, unfortunately.
I definitely earmarked him as a potential signing before he went to Man City. I thought he would have suited our style of play a lot better. It's just yeah, like I said, it's just a shame he went to Man City, and he's got the nickname of Yorkshire Pillow, so that kind of you can see why they named him that, not just because of anything else, it's because of his playing style, where deep playmaker can ping balls forward. So yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, in the English game, even though it has become more technical over the years, I still feel like there's certain positions where the English way of looking is that you want a destroyer rather than a player that is a deep playmaker in that
Let me
form.
give you an example. You probably agree or disagree with this one. Since he's been at the England team, has England been the same with him and Rice there? Remember
They
when
have
him and Rice were playing together?
they
How
have
good
found the
it was.
balance.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go,
They're
bro.
really solid. They're having to makeshift players now. They're having Bellingham drop in deeper, and that's not his game now. He's at Real Madrid playing number 10, so you can't make him into a centre midfielder doing the dirty work, as some people like to call it. So no, they haven't been the same. They haven't found that guy to play alongside
Rice.
Declan Rice. And they had a great partnership. It was a
Oh,
great balance. One would go up, one would go, drop deep, and it just had a great balance in the team. So no, the national team hasn't been the same. So
no.
that's definitely a fair point there. Alongside him, the player that's been playing quite a bit for them is Kajust. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So Swedish international. And on the left side, I've gone for Jack Clark. He was a very highly rated player
Mhm.
that they signed from Sunderland before the summer. Would you see him being a player on the left wing, or would there be another name that could play on that position, do you think?
I don't know much about them. I only watch them sometimes, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
like the Man City game. That's the only time I probably watch them and our game.
yeah,
But the thing with Ipswich is the reason I know that they will get relegated because you can see it on the table, of course, is
yeah,
because they came up with the same team, bro, more or less. You know what I mean? That they
yeah.
in the championship. You can't do that. The Premier League is not a forgiving league. You need to like get at least 4 or 5 Premier League
Mm,
proven players to stay in the league, and
yeah.
they haven't done that enough. Yeah, but yeah, Clark is the one, bro. Clark is the one. Yeah.
Okay, so and then I'll probably say one of the best players so far this season, Delap. Being linked with moves to Tottenham. I've even heard some Liverpool fans suggesting that he'd be a great fit at our club. Me personally, I don't think so. Um, and that's no disrespect to the player. I think
No,
he's he's having a great opening Premier League season at this level at his club here. But for me, he's not Liverpool
no.
material. I just don't see him um, being that player at all. But everyone has this sort of opinion, but I just don't see him
We
being.
need more than that to be fair, guys. You know what I mean,
Yeah,
I gave you a player earlier, which is Alvarez. That's the type of player. That player can play
yes,
in multiple positions, not just one position. And this kid
yeah.
only plays as number 9, and it ain't gonna work at Liverpool Football Club.
Exactly, exactly. So this is my predicted lineup. Now, in terms of danger men, I think Omari Hutchinson would be the guy where he's got a bit of flair about him. He can shoot from distance. Like you mentioned earlier on, he's very good on the counter attack, but the part that lets him down is his decision making in terms of the final ball. But he still can be an important player for this team.
Oh yes.
Jack Clark obviously offer width on that left hand side, and Delap is a very tireless player where he, runs for the team on the channels, on the shoulder of the defense at times as well. So he's a player that could cause us issues, but I'm confident in terms of how we'll set up. Obviously, they've got 5 defenders there. That doesn't concern me too much, if I'm being brutally honest. So yeah, so let's move on and we'll predict the Liverpool lineup, where I'm sure we'll have a lot more opinions in terms of what we're presenting on the screen now. So before I mention any players,
Yeah.
in the last week, there's been this sort of ongoing, I call it a fake agenda. I don't think it's a real agenda about Allison in terms of his recent form since his return from injury. That maybe he's not that guy anymore. What's your perception? I couldn't tell by the nod on your head right now. What have you meant? Because for me, I feel like it's been a bit over the top. I don't think it's justified because his performance haven't been
Mhm.
um, that bad the way maybe people are making it seem to be. For me, it's where he's not been required to be a savior in those games. He's just done his routine job. So, what's your opinion on the fans having this sort of perception about Alice in the last few weeks?
Funny that, isn't it? Funny that when he came back, I guess what's the name of that team? That Spanish team, Janeiro, is it? The
Yeah,
Man City
Girona,
own?
yeah,
Well, there was a saying that word there when he's making all those saves. You know what I'm saying? So you got to make up your mind. He came back from injury and look what he was doing in that game. But I think people need to calm down. I mean, I've had to go at him against Nottingham Forest. I thought he dived too late. But
Yeah,
the more you look into Allison and the issue that he has, obviously, I don't know if you guys heard, we talked about it in the beginning. Some players are rushed back. Some players haven't had enough rest. You know what I mean? That's what's happening with our football club. The first 11 is what we got. We ain't got anything after that. Obviously, Kelleher does his bit. But let me give you what's happened with Kelleher and him. A lot of us are saying Kelleher should start the games, and some are saying now Allison should start the games. The reason Kelleher starts games is because Allison is injured. That's number one. And the reason Kelleher, some people say he's got a better record recently with the team than Allison is because I honestly think, I don't know if you agree with me, Ozzy. I think our defense are too relaxed when Alison's in goal. I honestly think that. I think when he's in goal, there's more shots that we face than when Keller is in goal. Because when
yeah,
Keller is in goal, you have to pay the extra attention into the game because you don't want them having to go at the goalkeeper because they know in their mind Kelleher, Allison, two different players. Allison was best. Kelleher is okay, obviously, second choice
yeah,
to Allison. So when you got that in players' minds, they're gonna, what I mean, they're not gonna try as hard when Allison's in goal. So what I've seen when Allison's been in goal since he come back, there's more shots we're facing, too many people getting through easily, and the defense is too relaxed. You know what I mean, that's the problem. That's the two problems here. You know what I mean? So when Keller's in goal, defense are awake. They're fully awake. No chance is gonna go through and goal. We've got to defend better from the front to the midfield to the back. But when Allison's in goal, everybody can get through because you're going to face the great Allison. You know what I mean? He's going to stop the goals. You know what I mean? One on ones is the best. You know what I'm saying? So that's what people don't understand when they're watching football, man. I looked into that. I said, yeah, man, why am I facing a lot of shots when Allison's in goal? But when
yeah.
Keller in goal, I hardly see any. I mean, so it's weird. So look at it that way. If I'm making sense what I'm saying.
No, I don't think it's wild what you're saying because I feel like there is a tactical tweak when you've got those certain keepers in the team. So, for example, when I think Kelleher's there, I think our defense drops one step back.
Hmm.
I think we play slightly deeper. We don't play a high line with Kelleher, and that's not because Kelleher is not
No,
capable of
yeah, yeah.
being a sweeper. He is. He does have a good sort of passing range in terms of what he distributes. But with Alisson, he's on his own level. He's a different level when it comes to setting up counter attacks. From one kick or one throw. That is complete. uh,
Mhm.
Kelleher doesn't have that, and that's a special skill that Alisson has. So when you have Alisson in goal, that's when we play a bit more higher up,
Yep.
and then that's where the opposition will present a different attack.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's tactical tweaks like that is the reason why we appear more solid with Kelleher. And if I'm trying to forecast the future, if Mamadash really ends up becoming number one for Liverpool, we're probably going to play the same way that we do when Kelleher's in goal because he's not great with his feet.
No.
So he's going to be a player where the defense might just drop a little bit deeper, so we'll look a bit more secure. But obviously, that's me, forecasting a slightly step
You're
ahead.
right.
But
100%. Yeah.
I think it's a very valid point, Fozzie, because people just look at the element of shot stopping. Who's busy, who's not, and we can always critique goalkeepers in terms of, oh, maybe he should have done better there, or maybe he should have caught the ball. Like we can always critique that, but don't tell me Kenner has not made blunders. The Newcastle game where he completely let the ball go. Like there has been there has been moments where he's looked not his best, and fans are like, oh, get him out. So you've got to like watch the game as well and see why these things are happening rather than dishing out abuse on certain players. I'm not saying abuse. Obviously, some fans are probably a bit more respectful, but I just feel like it's a bit unjustified in terms of that feedback that a lot of
Yeah.
fans had with Allison. I don't think he's been amazing. I don't think he's been poor
No.
either. I think he's just been solid. But call upon, he's done his job, but he's not made any worldy saves, and that doesn't mean he's not been busy. It's just that he's not been required to do it, which can be a good thing as well. So as long as we're winning games, for me, that's all that matters. I don't want my goalkeeper making last minute saves to give us a 2-1 victory all the time. I don't want to see that. So, make it of what you will. But I do agree. I think there are tactical tweaks. And also with Arne Slot as well, in his previous club, he had a number one that was injury prone as well. I've forgotten his name now. But
Yeah.
whenever he was fit, he's straight in the team. Whether the second goalkeeper kept 10 clean sheets, it doesn't matter. The number one always goes in. And
Yeah.
I think it's the same for Allison and Kelleher. Kelleher can do a great job, but when Allison's available, he's the guy. He's the one that he has the utmost trust in. And we mentioned that earlier in the show.
Mm.
He's always going to play the players that he has 100%
Yeah.
belief in. And that's what it appears to be. So yeah, fans saying Kelleher should be number one. I disagree. For me, Allison is still number one goalkeeper for Liverpool. So it's only right I put him into the lineup. Now, in terms of the back line, what are you envisioning? Let's start with left back. Who would you start at left back in this
Syndicates
game?
straight off. Syndicates straight off. I love Robertson and all that stuff. You know what I mean? What he did for us. Number one, I don't want Robertson to be criticized and be abused like Henderson has. You know what I'm saying, brother? Because sometimes people forget about the legacy the players has in the football club, and when things go wrong, even your own fans turn against you. And that's what's happened to certain players. That's done a lot for us in the football club. So before it gets out of hand, get him off the team, make him a bit part player, and play Simicast. Because when Simicast plays, bro, he doesn't let us down. The only
Yes.
time he lets us down is when he doesn't play a lot of games. You know what I mean? When he's playing consistently and Robertson's injured for 4 or 5 games, Robertson gets back in the team in the past straight away when Simicast is having the good games. So when you're corrupting the player's mind in regards to like you're not going to be consistent in the first team, he's not going to be in his mind. He knows already there's something bad coming around the corner. So you already destroyed his confidence anyway. So that's why he plays the way he was playing before. But this season, I think Simicast has been phenomenal. I don't know what
I
more I
agree.
can say about Simicast. You know what I mean? Listen, we still need a left back, no matter what. But he's still a good cover for any left back that comes through that
Yeah.
door with me. So, and he's at that age, 28. You know what I mean? So at the two, maybe in the summer, Robertson can move on and we'll get that Kirkes to come in and keep
Yeah.
Simicast as a cover. But like I said, like I honestly think for years people have been having a go at Simicast, not knowing why his confidence ain't always in the same level. It's because he knows he's not going to be part of the first team, even if he plays well. That's
Yeah.
why.
It's a fair point. And that's why I have to give a lot of respect to players that are always on the bench because you have to have a different mentality in terms of how you view the game and how you know what contribution you bring to the team as well. Because Harvey had an interview the other day,
Oh,
and he was
I loved it. I loved it, bro. Sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but I love that interview.
no,
Carry on, carry on.
such a great interview where he basically said, "Look, I'm on the bench quite a bit, but I'm actually watching the game. I'm trying to analyze the game. So when I do get my chance, I already know the opposition's weakness. I know how to exploit them. I know where the spaces are. I know what to do. So that is someone that is tuned in. Because you do see players just lounging around and got blankets over them. They look disinterested. But
Yeah,
I like players that are screwed on. Like they know when they need to come on, they're ready to do the job. And I think Simicaz has been that player, but unfortunately, with Simicast, he always knows that he's not going to be first choice. So
exactly.
there's a block in his mind in terms of giving it his all, because he can do a 10 out of 10 performance, but he knows if Robertson's available, it might be a different picture. So for me, in terms of this season, I couldn't agree more. I think he's been fantastic. I don't feel like there's been any game I've been so disappointed with him. I think he's been consistent. He's been at least a 7 out of 10 every time he plays. So this has been a season where he's been very consistent and Robertson hasn't. So for me, he should have an open platform to stake a claim as the left back, in my opinion. I think he should be the left back.
Yeah.
But I think Arsenal probably favors Robertson in terms of experience and all that sort of stuff. But Simicast for me has to start. The way he performed against Lille, I thought he was probably one of the best players. I think I give him. I think it's close enough to be my man of the match. I
Yeah.
thought he was really, really good. So yeah, I agree in terms of his selection there. Now, in terms of the centre back position, Van Dijk, we don't need to debate about that one. Konate should be returning into this lineup, or do you see anything else
Take
happening?
one for me. Konate has been saying, even with pain, I'm still coming on to play for the first team. I love that about him. But how about
Yeah,
if that pain becomes a permanent injury, bro? You know what I mean?
I know.
We don't want that this season, bro. We don't want that. But I know you want him in, but he's gonna play, isn't he? But yeah, I
I think
prefer.
he will.
Yeah, I
Can I
prefer.
ask you about his contract situation? So he made a comment where he said that he was offered a contract, and obviously it's not been signed. So What do you make of that? Is it a concern, or is it just, he's been offered a contract, but he's probably said that, look, I'll sign it at the end of the season, not now. It's not the time. So what do you make of that situation?
I think he loves the club, bro. A lot of people are saying, I
Yeah,
saw in spaces today, a lot of people saying he's from Paris, and all this stuff, he's doing this, listen, what I see of this guy when I watch him live and when I watch him
yeah,
on TV, he loves Liverpool Football Club.
he does.
I mean, so any contract that's offered to him, he will sign it.
Yeah,
Listen, all these players, listen, I've seen these players, all of them, Salah, Trent, Van Dijk, Konate. None of them say they want to leave Liverpool. I mean, none of them give us any indication saying they're going to leave Liverpool. So just don't lose that hope, man. Every single time you see them, they're smiling. They say we're a family. They say they message each other after games. They meet each other for
yeah,
coffee. They meet. I mean, they do all this stuff together. You know what I mean? So, when you got a close unit there and you see beautiful things happening at the football club at the same time, why would you
yeah,
want to spoil that? Doesn't make any sense, man. I mean, look at PSG. Like they just got, they just beat Man City the other day, just about. You know what I mean? And I mean, what's better, Liverpool or PSG? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You could offer some players, you could offer them all the money in the world. They still will say no. That's why Van Dijk is still here. That's why
yeah,
Salah is still here. I mean, you're telling me when we was at our best and they were at their best, those big clubs didn't come in for them and they're still here? Come on, man. Come on. Let's
yeah.
be realistic here, man.
It's so true. It's so true because I agree in terms of the squad. Like you see the harmony within the squad, and it's a very good place in terms of how they are. And Konate doesn't really strike me as a person that's money oriented. I don't think he's that type of guy. I feel like for him, it's like I'm playing first team football and I feel good here. I'm happy here. It's more about happiness rather than, having, certain M's in your account. It's not really about that for him. For him, it's all about I'm playing good football. I'm competing at the highest level. My team is competing at the highest level, and everything's said and
You
done.
know,
So
you
I,
know what the
I don't have certain
go, go.
concerns, but I do feel like fans were
Mm.
taken back by his comment. I don't think he did it to kind of stir the
Nah,
pot or anything like that. I just thought he was being honest. Like, yeah, it's been offered, but that's it. So I'm sure that'll be confirmed or addressed in the near future. But I'd rather wait until the end of the season, like I said, for the
100%.
other players as well. I don't want nothing to disrupt our
Yeah.
momentum going forward. So that's something we need to always take into consideration.
Something people need to keep in mind as well, brother, before you go on,
Yeah,
is these players, if they're chasing money, they could wait at the end of their career for Saudi Arabia. That's gonna be
exactly.
there. That's gonna
It
be
will
there.
always be there. It's so true. It's so
Oh, you
true.
got nothing to lose, people. Let's be happy, man.
Yeah, it's so true. Because obviously he's trying to build a legacy. He's not going to just, the ball out and just
There you go.
go to Saudi.
Money will still be available, man. Don't worry, man.
It will always be
Even
very
more.
true. And obviously, him being Muslim as well. Yeah, even more so. They're gonna want to have him on board. So that offer will be there, just like it is for Salah. I say to people all the time, Salah will be 65. He'll still get that offer at Saudi Arabia. It will always be on the table. So
I'll be there probably this year sometime. I'm gonna go to Saudi Arabia, and that's where I
yeah,
was born. By the way, I was born in Jeddah. Innit? They say Jeddah, but it's Jeddah, really. Yeah, I was born there. I was born there.
oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. Songs 4K makes an interesting point. Let Kwanzaa exercise his Ipswich ghost, not for me.
Oh, song 4K, you're a smart G, mate. That's brilliant. So basically, back in time, like Back to the Future. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
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 I like that. I like that.
yeah. I
Back.
would have mercy did, but I get the notion because if Kwanzaa started this game and he does well, I think his confidence will be back to normal again. So I do think it affects him a little bit that he got taken off at halftime because he's a young guy.
Young
That's
people,
gonna
man.
hurt his pride a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get involved in the game. I would personally go for Konate,
Yeah.
personally.
You want to be safe in it. You don't want to be,
Yeah,
going
yeah,
over a game, what might have been like the Man United game. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, exactly.
I said 4-0, maybe 3-0, I said. But
Mm.
how wrong was I? You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
To be fair, to be fair,
you don't want to take risks, especially when you're challenging for a title, man. Don't
yeah.
let complacency set in, man. Don't do that. You're right.
Yeah, sounds okay saying he could redeem himself. Look, if he starts, I would still have confidence in him. I know some fans are kind of like, nah, he's not good enough. He needs to be loaned out, which I kind of do agree. I think maybe a loan move would be great for him if we were able to sign a quality centre back, which is probably another talking point. But I think the last couple of games when he's come on, even against Lille, I thought he looked really good. I don't think he put a foot wrong. So if he does start, I don't mind. I know some fans don't think he has that stability in the backline, but I think alongside Van Dijk, you already formed that good
The,
partnership in the
the
past, so
only
it should
issue that he has, Ozzy, is he's
yeah,
trying to be too much like Matip, trying to get the ball from the back and run forward, and he loses the ball. That's the
yes,
only thing he needs to fix. Then he'll be
yes,
fine after that.
yeah, because he's done that a few times and he's lost the
And
ball or he's given away the ball, and it's
really,
just like led to counterattacks, which is the wrong side for us as well because our right side gets exploited anyway. So it's something where I agree. He does need to work on it. Don't try and be someone else. Just be yourself when you're on the pitch. So I definitely agree with that. Uh, who would you go for, Trent or Conor Bradley at right back?
stay with Trent, man. The guy is gonna stay, guys, man. Trust me, man. The
Yeah,
more you abuse him, the more you're driving him away, man. Just shut up, everybody. Let the guy stay, man. Come on, man.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Double pivot. What would you go for?
Oh shit. Like I love Gravenberch, man. I can't believe what I'm seeing this season, bro. I'm in shock, man. Like I didn't
Yeah,
expect him to do what he's doing. I knew he was good. I'm not one of those fans that was saying get him out of our football club. No, I'm not in that train because I can see talent like Ozzie does. People, it's not just Ozzie, it's me too. I can see talent. um, I backed him from day one. When I heard he's gonna sign for Liverpool, I said, you know what, let's sign him. And not only that, I knew it would take him time. You're forgetting Ozzy. He was at the team for 2 years at Bayern, sitting on the bench, warming it good for the rest of the players. And I'm saying so. This kid was up there with Bellingham as a youngster, as the next kids that's coming through. If people don't know
spot
that,
on.
how good this guy was. So now he's showing you what he's all about. And not even in his proper role, he's playing actually as a DM, double pivot. So him and McAllister are swapping. People think like McAllister is attacking. No,
Uh,
you look at certain games, McAllister is the DM and he goes forward. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it's true.
You look at it. So yeah, I think he needs a rest. I think this is a type of game you could bring on Endo. I know we said don't let complacency set in, but the thing with with Endo, Endo, sorry, Endo is he's solid, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He will be aggressive in that midfield to let McAllister do his thing. You know what I mean? So if you put Soboslai, McAllister, and Endo in that midfield tomorrow, I think it'll be brilliant. I think they'll do the business. I honestly think that. I've got no doubt about that. Just
Ozzy,
rest
you're a
them, bro.
mind reader. You're a mind reader because that's exactly what I've got down as well. For me, I think also that gives me confidence that this will happen is the fact that Endo's been involved more in the last 2, 3 games. So
And
that,
McAllister will rested the other game as well. Don't forget.
yeah, exactly. So no, I think if he was substituted against Lille, then I don't think this is the game to risk him because yes, it's an important Premier League game, but for Gravenberg, I feel like I'm looking at the long term. I'm
Exactly, bro.
wanting him to play the bigger games that are coming up. No disrespect to Ipswich Town, but we can afford to rest him. We have a player that's more than capable of doing it, and Endo can do that job. And let's not forget, guys, last season, Endo and McAllister formed a great partnership in that double pivot. So they can play together with
Yeah.
complete ease. And we look so solid with both of them in the middle of the park. So for me, yeah, this is exactly the trio that I had written down. So I'm glad Fozi's on the same wavelength as me there. Right wing, we don't need to have a debate, do we?
Just
So he should always be the first team, first name on the team sheet anyway,
put
to be
them,
fair.
him and Van Dijk, Alisson, just put them in there, man.
I know, it's so true. Left wing, who you going for?
Bring out Gakpo, man.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
love
Me-
Diaz, you know what I mean? But if I don't know, bro. I really don't know anymore, man. It's Barcelona in his mind. I don't know, bro. He can't get past players anymore, bro. I'm sitting there the other day, bro. Just get past him, and he couldn't
Mm,
do it. You know what I mean? I love Diaz, but even as a striker, I know Jamie said like he's gonna flourish as a striker. But what I've noticed about Diaz, he only can do it against certain teams. You know, when they have
yeah,
that full centre back that can't move.
yeah,
The Newcastle one. He'll be good with those ones. But when he's
yeah.
facing pacey centre backs, he struggles, bro, man. I don't know what's
Uh,
the matter with him, bro. Like, I don't know about you if you agree with me. Since Mane, I think 70% of that side has dropped. 70%. That's a lot of percentage. We only got 30% of him. I mean,
Yeah,
and you look at Mane, even when he's having a bad game, bro, there was still something there. I mean,
yeah.
creativity, defensively, aggression, everything. Like he had it, even when he's having a bad game. I'm not here like to bash Diaz, but I expected more, bro. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No, no, I don't think you're wrong, to be fair. I think in terms of that left side, it certainly has impacted into the when Mane's left. But the thing is, as well, there's no one out there like Mane. So
No,
it's going to be a situation where you have to find an alternative. You have to find a different type of player that could give us something on that left-hand side. And with Diaz, I think this season he's been more prolific, which I have to give him credit
no,
for.
no, but what he does
Yeah,
that manipulates people that people don't know is the first part he does that. He
yeah,
did that last season. He did that the season before, and then he
yeah.
just let me say something, Ozzy. Sorry to interrupt, brother.
No, don't apologize.
There's two parts on the season. Yeah, the first
Yeah,
part is when everybody's open, trying to find their way in football. What am I? Am I a defensive team? Am I attacking team? Am I a bit of both? That's what they do the first part. Second part, you got to play for something. You're either gonna survive the Premier League, or you're gonna play for a position in the Premier League to get you more money. European stuff, sorry,
yeah,
Champions League stuff, and the Premier League stuff. So the second part is the most important part. That's why you see Salah always drop off as well in the second part. It's not the Salah that we've seen in the first part.
yeah.
So it's how you come out of that. And I don't think Diaz finds the way out of that majority of the time. Salah does, but him, for some reason, in the second part, he just disappears. Like it's not the same guy anymore. Like he's struggling to get past. Then you realize he's struggling with the second part because teams are deep line, shut up shop, surviving for their league status. That's what it is,
Yeah,
bro.
it's true. It's very true. I think with Diaz as well, and I think you make a very good point. One game that stood out for me recently was the Forest game, where he got clamped when he was
Oh,
playing that false nine role. He got
Man United
clamped.
game as well. Don't forget Maguire.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, that I'm not just going based off one or two games, but it just indicates for me that he can do well in that central role as a false nine, but in certain games when you need a bit more focal point, I don't think he's the guy. Because I feel like he drifts out of games a lot, and something that could, hamper his progression in that role. I feel like his passing can be a bit amiss,
Oh, yeah,
where
sometimes.
the simple passes like the previous game against Lille.
Mm.
He was doing simple passes, but then he was doing like the extravagant passes really well. So it's like he couldn't find the balance. So it's kind of like Darwin Núñez up top, where he scores the unexpected, but he misses the tapping.
The
So
easy ones, yeah.
yeah, so it's just finding that balance. So for me, I don't see Diaz being the long term sort of number nine. Um, but you never know. I just don't personally see it. I would rather, get someone else and have a player that is playing in their real position because I think Diaz looks better on the left, but at the same time, Gakpo for me, that's his natural position. That's the role where he's so efficient, and his goal ratios, he's in double figures right now. I read a stat earlier on today that if he scores in this game, he will be the third Dutchman to score 5 goals in a row after Van Nistelrooy and Van Persie. So
Wow.
that is great names to be accompanied by. So for me, he's in great rich training form. So for me, he has to start in this game. So
The,
yes,
the, only, the only thing that's missing from Gakpo is the team ain't reading his passes and his crosses. But once they
sometimes,
start
yeah,
reading that, I think he'll
yeah,
be more dangerous than you guys think. Because some of the passes and crosses he does, they don't
yeah.
they don't read it. I mean, everybody says it's a poor cross, but if you see what he does
No,
and where it's going, and the player reads it, that's a goal majority of the time. And
that's
I
a
feel
fair
bad
point.
for him. People don't know that. Honestly, people don't
Mm.
know that. They just see it. Oh, it's a bad cross. Oh, it's a bad
No one,
pass.
because no one's
Look
touched
at
him
that pass he
basically.
did for West Ham for
Yeah,
Salah. Salah should have
yeah,
finished. How many
yeah,
players can do
100%.
that?
Yes, I know, 100%. I think because I think fans are still trying to figure out what profile is Armstrong looking for in a striker. I'm not gonna say number nine as the striker. Like, what profile does he want? A traditional number nine, or does he want a false number nine? I don't think he wants a false number nine, based on what I'm seeing recently.
Mhm.
Just on the basis that you got a player like Gakpo, those type of deliveries he's producing is for a number nine. It's for a goal poacher. If you've got a wide player that's not doing those crosses, then a false nine makes more sense because they become more inverted and they become the inside forward. Armstrong plays with two wingers. Even Salah's been on the byline a lot more in recent weeks. So that's his kind of position in terms of how they play. So I see that number nine. So you mentioned Alvarez, great shout. That would be a player that I feel like could do that number nine role. If we're in Dreamland, Isak for me could do that job as well. So that's the profile that I expect the club to look at in the summer. But in terms of this team, who will start? Will it be Diaz or would it be Darwin Nunes up top? No Jota, of course, but who would be between the two?
I think Nunes, the
Mm,
confidence in it, they want to keep it going. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
from what I've heard, that he's not going to leave anytime soon as well. Diaz might, but I don't think Nunes will be leaving anytime soon. From what I've heard around the club,
okay.
so 'cause it's the amount of money they bought him for, and unless that swap deal happens, what I said earlier to you and what you said as well,
That's it.
that's the only way. But out of the two, Diaz is more likely to leave at the moment because that's what I've heard anyway. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it looks
Darwin,
like
obviously,
there's been some sort of halt with his contract talks and
yeah,
which yeah, because I think he earns probably one of the least in terms of the top
yeah,
players in the first 11. So it's gonna be interesting summer.
very,
Nonetheless, before we do the score prediction, I will present some comments and then we can wrap up. So, uh, Son Sport said, let Kwanzaa. Oh, we've already done that comment. He says he can redeem himself. And
mhm.
then he says, Stoll wants points. He don't care about feelings. He doesn't. He's not sentimental. So
No,
it's all
no,
about
but
business.
it's true if you think about it. You know what I mean? What I said as well, like to continue your conversation on that one,
Yeah,
is Klopp was the manager. So Klopp is a manager for the team and outside the team. Yeah, I mean for the city. Even Everton people loved him because he was for the city.
yeah,
The, the reason Liverpool are successful this season because we've got a head coach, people. What does a head coach do? He concentrates just on the players, not kissing
yeah.
babies, not getting medals as a mayor and all this stuff. No, 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 no.
Uh,
It's just for the team. That's why if Klopp just stayed like that, I think Klopp would have been more successful than any other manager that we had in recent
yeah,
years. So this is what you need in modern day football. People were asking, why isn't he a manager? Da, 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 da. I said, mate, calm down. A head coach is a better thing because you will spend more time with the team and the youth teams. Check out the youth teams and all that stuff. That's
yeah,
what they do. That's all you need. You don't need no one that's kissing babies outside the pitch. No, just let him concentrate on that. And this is why we're successful this season because not only is he coaching the team physically, he's watching players how they're moving, how they
yeah,
perform on the training ground. And at the same time, as you guys know, under nines all the way to the first team in the AXA ground, he's watching all the kids as well.
yeah.
What's the future? What's the current? What's things like that. So listen, head coach ain't a bad thing. Trust me. From FA qualified coach myself, it's the best. It's the best feeling in
Yeah.
the world, in my opinion. I
And
don't know if
in
you
terms,
agree. Ozzy.
no, no, I feel like we're on the same wave. I agree with a lot of your points because I feel like with Arnold Slot, one of the first few questions I was asked about him was, what do you make of this setup at Liverpool in terms of having a sporting director and you're a head coach? Because you mentioned, we're used to manager. That's the job title we're used to seeing over the years.
Mm.
But is that a big difference for him? He said in Netherlands, everyone's a head coach. We don't do managers in the Netherlands. So our job is to focus on coaching the players. That is all. We have a sporting director that has the vision for the club. He's the one that recruits the youth players or sets up the youth academy, and we try and get the best talent from the city. That is the way they do it. So
Yeah, bro.
it's the modern day way of running a football club. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
when Klopp did get that sort of power in the last 2 3 years, I feel like he had too many hands in too many jars. If
Yeah.
if you know my analogy there, because he was involved in too many other things, and at that time you want him to be a coach, just focus on the pitch. So look, hopefully we'll get our rewards this season. Hopefully we win multiple titles.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not too fussed about that job title. To be fair, I feel like it says it was in the tin. He's being a coach, and look, I'm all for it. To be honest with you, so doesn't I don't mind that at all. Amrish, big up Amrish says Kanate had a good rest as well. He needs momentum as well. Yeah, so it'll be a good game for him to get involved. To the kids, agreeing with you in terms
Mhm.
of your points. Songs 4K says Kwanzaa has made a couple of rookie errors, just needs to play steady. Yeah, just keep it simple. It doesn't need, as Fozi mentioned earlier on, he doesn't need to do those mazy matic runs. He can just keep it simple.
Come with time. You don't need it now.
Yeah, you're young. Get used to playing first team football, get used to doing the basics. That you become so good at it, it becomes second nature to you. That's when you can go on and do adventurous stuff as a centre back. Right now, we don't need you to do that. So I definitely agree on that point. Jake Kismet says Allison's our number one. Slot gave him game time to get him back to being number one and build confidence. Totally agree there.
Okay.
Um, Sean's 4K says Max the tackler, grab, intercepts, and covers. Yep. Yeah, I think they do a bit of both, to be honest with you. Because Grab for me, because of his frame and his physique, I see him making a lot of tackles as well. So I think it depends on the opposition. Like you said, Fozi, because there'll be some games where McAllister's more advanced, but there'll be other games where Gravenberg is more advanced. So just depends on the dynamic and what the task is at hand in terms of Gravenberg needs to be the guy that makes the tackle, or McAllister could do the deep playmaker role. So it depends. I think Arsenal does go by the opposition rather than have it as a blueprint that, oh, this is your job, that's your job. He would tinker it based on who we're playing. So I think they do a bit of both, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Goal ratio, big up yourself. It says top scorers from open play, goal ratio in order. As of today, one is Jota, Gakpo, Diaz, Salah, Nunes. That's all true, but for me, Jota needs to be available a lot more. That's the only issue we have. That's the same with Fozi.
Yeah,
We rate him as a player in terms of his ability, but
I would,
availability is also a big thing as well, you know?
yeah. I will never question his ability. I mean, the guy can be one of the best, but he's not one of the best because he's not available. It's a simple fact. That's it.
Yeah. That is a quality trait to have as well. If you're available, then you're involved. But if you're not, it hampers the team. Amish says Diaz as a 9 experience has to stop. Nunes on top when Jota is not here. Fair enough. Fair enough. I know some fans are pretty much seeing it like as I mentioned. I feel like it works for certain games, but he can't be the number 9 week in week out. I don't see it. It's not my cup of tea, to be fair.
Not mine.
Songs 4K says, is this a mid 2003/2014?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I say so. I say so. Jake Kisme has said this is his lineup, so he's gone for Simicast, Virgil, Kwanzaa, and Trent. So he's gone for Kwanzaa.
Good.
Uh, Songs 4K says Diaz plays selfish, so I prefer him in the middle. That has been one of my sort of feedback, or not feedback, not like I talk to him, but that's been one of my critique for Diaz, where he overdoes it a little bit sometimes, where he's dribbling the ball, there's a player in open space, he'll do one or two turns and he's either lost the ball or he's shot and he's completely missed the target. That that's that. And
Yeah.
he's not a young player. He's
No,
27. So
yeah, I
he's not a
think
young
older than that, bro. I think it's 29 almost. I think.
player. Oh, my bad. He's older than I thought he was. So
Bro, I mean,
that's not that player. You should know when to pass and when not to pass. Like you need to know the balance at that age. So that's something he definitely needs to improve on. Goal ratio says Diaz has more goal ratio from open play than Salah. Is that the case? Okay, I did not know that. Amri says Ipswich will play low block. We will need creative players. Salah, Maka, Elliot, good IQ players. We haven't touched on Elliot, but I think Elliot will definitely come off the bench. The way he performed against Lille, I was very impressed. I'd like to see him being utilised a lot more
yeah.
as that impact player. 'Cause I think the number 10 role, it really suits his way of playing, and I feel like he has a good balance in that front line where he doesn't do anything crazy. He's quite measured in his passing. He doesn't just kick the ball around like the pass that he gave the other day to Nunes for the goal on the weekend. That was a measured pass. He took his time, gave it to him. Nunes cut in and then shot and obviously scored the second goal against Forest. So I like to see more of Harvey Elliott, and I'm glad that he's getting a bit more game time. Would you agree with that, or do you understand why Armstrong hasn't played in that much this season?
He had a long-term injury, did he? So it's slowly coming back. I watched him in America as the number 10.
Yeah,
He was there. He was the first number 10 that Arne Slot used as in that role from the double pivot to the above that, and he was phenomenal, guys. I swear. I was shocked. Like some of us in the stands were saying, "Javier can do that? Didn't know that," because he was closing down. Like he was the first point of the defensive side of the game, and
yeah,
plus his creativity when he played in that role in the summer and the preseason. I know it's different games and all that stuff.
yeah,
Was something out of Baggio kind of stuff, guys. Like he was
Yeah.
flicking balls through, people run onto it and they tap it in, and things like that. It was just there. It's very, very special. Maybe that
Yeah.
is his role. We won't know until he plays that role how good he could be. But it can't be one game, guys. It's got to be like a consistent run in the team
Consistent.
for us to know if he can play that role. But for now, using him as a sub and coming on off the bench to change games, especially for a team that's top of the league, it's what I'll do with him, if you know what I mean. If Salah's injured, of course I'll put him on the right side. That's his
Yeah.
obviously support system there. But I'm a big. I've always said that I'm a big Soboslai fan, guys. Like I promise you, you will regret the future. He's just a bit shy at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Salah is the king, innit? Salah is the king, so he's just bowing down to the king. Like someone said over there, Salah doesn't bow. So, so yeah, until he gets the comfort and gets his feet under the table and plays as he normally does, which is the leader of the team, the player that creates goals, scores goals, and take the set pieces on a regular basis. Um, it'll come. It'll come before Soboslai. But as I said about Harvey Elliott, just leave him coming off the bench. He's brilliant out there. He's done it last season and he's doing it this season as well. Really, it's just he's been injury. He had a long-term injury. That's why you haven't seen a lot of him. It's nothing to do with Arne Slot doesn't like him. He just has a
Yeah.
long-term injury.
No, and obviously he has to take his time to reintroduce him to the team. You can't rush a player that's been out for so long. But it's quite refreshing for you to say those words about Szoboszlai. I thought I was the only one. I rate Szoboszlai very highly, and I feel like I was a minority. So I'm glad to hear that you're in the same boat as me as well, because I've watched him at Leipzig. I even watched him at Salzburg, and he was a different player there. So I just feel like he's trying to find that balance in this team. And people are like, oh, he's playing number 10. Why is he not scoring more goals? Why is he not doing this? He's not playing a traditional number 10 like how we probably grew up watching in the 90s and the noughties as well.
Um,
He's playing as a more advanced eight where he's got a bit more freedom, yes, but he's covering a lot of ground as well. When Salah's going to he's going infield, you've got Szoboszlai shifting over, so he's covering the flanks as well when required. So it's not just, oh, I'm the main guy in the middle and I just do the shooting and I do the skills. He's not that number 10. He's a hard working player where he's starting. He's normally the first player pressing as well for the team.
yeah.
So all that off ball sort of stuff, he's the one leading the line. So I feel like he's just finding the balance where, because he's been using his engine a lot more than he has been over his career, he's finding, when do I need to pass? When do I need to shoot? He just hasn't found that balance yet. So for me, once he does, the goals, the assists will come through. So
He's
only
only
time to
23, man. He's only 23, 24, man. It's got a long way
young,
to
young
go.
player
A long way.
to go. So definitely, I have to co-sign with Fozi there. I thought I was the only one, so I'm glad that
I
someone
know
else
what I
agrees with
see,
me.
bro. You know what I mean? And people don't see what we see. They look at the negatives, you know what I mean? And thinking like
Yeah,
he's come onto this team and he's playing like this. Yeah, because this team is full of stars, mate. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever
yes,
thought that? Like
yeah,
when the team is already winning before you arrived, you got to find your place, like Ozzie said. And
exactly.
you know what I mean? When he came, we tried to replace him with Henderson, make those runs for Trent. You know what I mean? You're already taking away his ability. You're making him to a road runner. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
with time, patience, the player that you want will arrive. Trust me, guys, man. A lot of team were looking at that guy, before Liverpool. A lot of top teams, but we did something like got him to us. So just give him time, man. I guarantee you, if we win the league and the Champions League this season, just win one of them, you're gonna see a different Soboslai next season with confidence, man. No doubt about that.
mm, no, I couldn't agree more there. Just got this comment here. Where's it gone? So Amrish says Gakpo, Diaz, Nunes are not intelligent or decisive. I wouldn't put Gakpo in that bracket if I'm being honest. I think Gakpo is more decisive, especially when it comes to crossing and shooting. He has become a little bit predictable in terms of what he does on the left hand side in terms of cutting in and stuff, but I feel like he's got quality behind what he does anyway. So, like you mentioned, Fozzie, I remember there was one game where he was whipping a lot of crosses, but no one was just on the end
You
of
know
it.
what
So
it is,
it's about finding that sort of that right balance in terms of when to cross and when to do a low cross. So it's just finding out how players move around the pitch. And obviously, our number nine, we're using Diaz at number nine, we're using Nunes, Jota. So there's quite a few
Yeah.
players that are different to each other in that number nine role. So something we have to look into as well at the same time. And,
Yeah. I don't know what they said about Gakpo. That's a weird one, to be fair.
no, I think he's more.
You think, you know what? It's like what you said, Ozzy. You know,
Mm,
like um, you watch players before they come to Liverpool. You watch them in their old
yeah,
clubs. You know, one thing about Jurgen that people didn't know, I spotted a couple, maybe 3 years ago. What he buys is players with intelligence. You ask
yeah,
him, why did he buy Nunes? Because at the time we thought Nunes, we needed something different to Firmino. That's what it was. I mean,
yeah,
but if you look at beyond that, if you look at beyond everything that you look at, Jurgen always buys captains. Why do you buy captains? Because they're the easiest people to speak to and take instructions. Gakpo
yeah,
was a captain at PSV. If you
yeah,
watch him at PSV, it's not the same player that you see here. He was a goal scorer. He was a creative spark. He was a set piece specialist, and he was the
yeah,
captain of the team. Those four he had over there. Over here, when you limit those abilities from a player, this is what you're going to see, what you see right now. But once they get comfortable and start performing into the level that you want them to, taking more responsibility on the pitch, then you see a different player. And Sobos, like captain for Hungary, set piece specialist, you know, everything like goes through him. Doesn't do that at Liverpool. You limit his ability, and you know this is what you get. So it's not the players' fault; it's the team they go into and what they expect from them. That's why you see what you see from these guys. These guys have got more ability than you think. And like I said, Jurgen Klopp success even at Dortmund was because he buys captains. Captains are the easiest players that could take instructions. And that's why we did what we did. Even if you look at the players we had, they weren't the most talented players that you ever catch the eye, but if you told them to do something, they will break through a wall for you because they know how to take instructions. Check out, man. Check out the history at Dortmund. Check out the history at Liverpool. All captains he buys. Doesn't buy
yeah.
anything less than that.
No, that's a fair point. Because look at Szoboszlai, obviously captain as well. So there are a lot of the players, Endo captain. So all of our players that we've bought in recent
And
summers.
Gini Wijnaldum,
Yeah,
Lovron, yeah,
yeah.
Robertson, Trent is a potential captain as well. Allison potential captain.
Canate as well. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. All the players he had, all captains,
yeah.
man.
Proof is in the pudding right there. So yeah, very valid point there. Songs 4K says Sabo and Grab are the legs in midfield. At least one should play, if not both.
Mm,
Yeah, so we've got Sobo in this one. We're thinking maybe Groundback deserves a rest, but he'll be ready for that next game. I think we're playing PSV next week in the Champions League game, so that'll be our next fixture. Um, and Gakpo and Grab both improved with clearer roles on the slot. Yeah, obviously the Dutch connection definitely helps.
cool.
Understanding his tactics and the
Mm,
way he wants the team to set up. So,
yeah.
so no, definitely agree with that one. They're both playing at a great level. Before we close the show, Fozzie, what is your score prediction for this game?
I think someone put it up there earlier. I could see something like a 3-0, but I could see
Yeah,
2-0 or 1-0 because if they deep line defend, we struggle and then we get the odd goal to win. But yeah, 3-0, I say 3-0, 3-0.
who's your goal scorers if you had to
I want
predict?
Nunes to score this game. Nunes, I could see Gakpo scoring again and probably Salah. Yeah, Salah. Keep up the goals, in it.
Yeah,
Them, them three. I'll pick up. You know what? I said because Soboslai needs a goal. He might get a goal now. But I stay with Gakpo. Stay with Gakpo, Nunes, and Salah.
fair shot. To be fair, I've gone for 3 now. I've had it written down before. So for me, yeah, I feel like it's a game where it's going to be a tricky first half, but once we get that first goal, I think they will try and attack us, and then that will hopefully exploit spaces for us to really hit that next level and try and get some more goals. So in terms of goal scorers, I'm going for Mohamed Salah. I'm going for Szoboszlai, not because I'm biased because I rate him. I think this because he's very close to scoring the last couple of games. I
Yeah,
figure
yes.
this
That's
might be
why.
the game yeah, that was a great shot as well. So that is I feel like he's getting closer to hitting the back of the net. And I'm going for Gakpo because I want him to break that record as well to be the third Dutchman to score 5 goals in a row. So hopefully, he can make that happen. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I'm going to try and shout everyone. So big up to Enz, Abdul, American Scouser, Nick, Daz. Who else do we have? Dara. We've got Mihale. We've got Anthony Uncle Roz. Big up yourself.
Big up.
Songs 4K. Jay Kismet. Goal Ratio. Amrish. So yeah, if I missed your apologies, but yeah, big up yourselves for your engagement, your comments. Appreciate it as always, guys. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Of course.
Fozi, thank you so much for coming on today. Please, please, please let the people know where to follow you in terms of your socials,
Mhm.
your channel, and let them know what you got going on.
Yeah, first and foremost, people, please subscribe to Ozzie, man. This guy, to me, is one of the best out there. Probably most knowledgeable I've seen on YouTube. Deserves better. And listen, all the subscribers help. All the help on the chat helps as well. So please do that for him. I'll be hopefully on tomorrow around 12 p.m. Probably doing the preview show for Liverpool at my channel, which is LRFC. That's where you can catch me. But like I said, subscribe to Ozzie and get him to the top, man, because he deserves it. He's brilliant at what he does.
Very kind words. I appreciate you, Fozi. But please, guys, make sure you subscribe to Fozi as well. Probably one of the hardest working YouTubers I know in terms of content creation, doing lots of shows. And he's not just Liverpool shows, he does Premier League shows as well. So tailored for every football fan. If you're a football man, you've got to follow Fozi as well. So please make sure you subscribe to his channel. And I know it's been a while since you've been on this channel, but I'm going to make sure you come on. Not next year, it will be this season as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll get you on the show again very, very soon. So that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you all very, very soon. Goodbye.